make certain I get a plethora of insight out the way. But what the Holy Spirit unveiled to me, that was so potent. Oh, my holy macros. That was so potent. Oh, blue. I'm blue. I can just get into this, as a matter of fact. If you want to be considered, no. If you want to be eligible, stay with me. If one wants to be eligible for the Father's blessings, you have to yearn to be a peacemaker. If one is not dedicated, committed, striving, they don't have an earnestness. But if you're not interested and curious, it's not going to matter. But if you're not grounded enough to have grit, to persevere, to remain consistent enough to be a peacemaker, because the Father did state, for those who are working for peace, will be called child of the Most High. That's not the only nuance of being his child, but that's a promise. That's a qualifier. That's a restriction for most who yearn to get in the boat where he is at. And some are just sinking, granted. But the Father, he's not going to waste his time with those who are playing games, wasting so much gifts, talent, and don't get me started on those who don't even recognize their own identity. If you're still pursuing that in 2026, you have a longer way to go, let alone the meaning and depth and the volume that is within you. And don't get me started on the skills, the qualities, the attributes, the characteristics. Many brush that to the side, but your character is always going to showcase, no matter where you're at. Wherever your character lies will often be where your heart is. Wherever your heart is going to be how you respond. Where your temperament lies, how your unconscious visible responses. And that's why I recommend individuals have the privilege of delving into vitality forms. Because if you don't know your own vitality form, which has to do with when one is conducting don't want to utilize an emotion, right? Yeah, an emotion. And that individual with the lack of mindfulness, accountability, responsibility, stewardship, and emotional literacy and fluency will affect an individual. And how you affect them will all determine how they get influenced. And how they get influenced will be the benefactor, it will be the ratio, it will be a fraction of how you impacted them. That's why one has to be cautious with integrity, with determination, with dedication, and with tenacity and authenticity. To not compromise, to not have to put on any gimmicks. You don't have to put on any facades. Because what's in the dark is always going to come to the light. What the Father is going to unveil through a vessel is because you've attempted to showboat for so long with the spirit of self-life. And many may not know what that actually is. With self-life, it has to do with the offspring of sin that deals with thyself. But you have to be cautious because you're going to end up in a spiral. When you end up in that spiral, you're going to hit a plateau. But that's the underpin there. But you have to be extremely cautious. I can't stress that enough. And I always have to remind myself because just yesterday, I got the most, not if the loudest, wake-up calls. Welcome in. I got one of the most loudest wake-up calls from the Father, who speaks through one of his entrusted, one of his elected, who is a visionary and overseer over me and for me, and who represents a form of guardianship. And I got nudged, reminded, and I will always establish, and this is why one has to have that intimate and personal relationship with him, because if you don't, your intention, your mind, wherever it may lie, will often be where he's not at. Even if you do, you may think that you got it all together until you get a wake-up call. And mind you, he's going to rebuke you because he loves you. The Father quite literally tells us not to lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Father disciplines those he loves. Really let that sit. Really let that sit. But just about yesterday and throughout my time on my journey, I've experienced what so many others have. Because yes, I get in my flesh at times. But I can see when the Spirit is communicating when the flesh does. That's the difference. But see, here's the kicker. Just based off of that objective truth that I just established, is that me, I was dealing with self-hyphenated sin. And he utilized the fish analogy for me. Where the Father, he throws a hook out. And anytime he throws that hook out, he doesn't have to put worms on it. He can. Oh, he can. And there's a plethora of fish in the water. Us, which represents the fish. And there are certain fish that he goes after. He's always been with the fish, but he has to put a halt. And when that transpires, there's this little nuance of us attempting or us thinking that we do it ourselves, but in actuality, it don't work that way. But I was the fish, staying so focused on what he did not tell me to do. He didn't ask me to go that way. He didn't ask me to conduct so much. And many, they like to do this, they like to do that. They like to stay in productivism, busyness, productivity, accelerationism, because they think that they're in competition with others. It's not the case. It's not the case. Hold on, Alex. Can't cuss. But for the most part, it's real. But I wanted to come on and make this extremely short and share that word with you. And those who want to have a one-on-one call with me, the link is in the description. As far as the link tree, you will have the privilege of having a one-on-one with me. If you're yearning to confront root issues that have arisen, this is serious. It's It's not a game to play, but that is lessons of insight.